Hello and welcome to my first sitting down video. It's a video where I'm going to be talking about a list of books I will be reading in 2018. So because it is a new year, I have done several lists of books to read, things to do, my bucket list, but this list is dedicated to art books that I'm going to be reading in 2018. And the list is quite short. I only have 7 books on the list, just because these books are art books that I'm going to be reading purely for pleasure in my free time. This list doesn't include art books that I will be reading in 2018 for research or for work. So this list doesn't include those. And also this list doesn't include any novels that I'll be reading in my spare time, not connected to art. So, let's get started. So, first book on my list is actually in a digital form, so I don't have it with me to show you. It is a book by one of my favorite artists, Hito Steyr, the most influential art person according to Art Review of the year 2017. So Hito Steyr, she writes a lot, so she's an artist, she's also a writer. I've read quite a few of her texts before, but I never read a whole book, so this time I would like to read her book called The Wretched of the Screen, published by Iflux. And the book contains a number of Steyr's landmark essays from recent years. To be honest, I can't wait to read it, that's why I put it on the first place on my list. So, next is a book by another very influential person in contemporary art world. So it's a book, Ways of Curating, by Hans Ulrich Obrist. And this book I've chosen to read for 2 reasons. One reason is because I've once read Hans Ulrich Obrist's a short biography in one of the magazines, like popular magazines like New Yorker. He's an extraordinary person in terms of his work ethic. So he works, apparently it looks like he works non-stop, and even when he's asleep, he hires an assistant who transcribes interviews that he does during the time that Obrist is asleep. So I think this book is biographical. It tells the story of him starting as a very young curator and people and artists he meets, the ways of curating. So the title, I think, is quite self-explanatory. I'm intrigued by personality of Obrist, and I just would like to find out more. So yeah, that's the second book on my list. Third book is much more popular in a way how it's written. So you would say it's the target audience is more just general public, people who would like to find out more about art in general. It's written by author Sarah Thornton, and her previous book I read as well, 7 Days in the Art World, was very popular read. Many people enjoyed it very much for different anecdotes she gives about artists and the art world. I very much enjoyed her previous book, and I'm hoping to get the same out of this one. So it is going to be an easy read. I'm hoping to find out a bit of a gossip from the art world, and this author is known for using her tabloid style. So yeah, this is going to be my weekend read, just to be a little bit entertained. Next, I believe going to be similar. So this is a book by Philip Hook, Breakfast at Sotheby's. So Philip Hook worked at the Sotheby's auction house, I believe, for about 35 years, and this book is a collection of stories taken from his experience of work as the auctioneer. He's trying to explore what gives art value. So I think this is going to be just a little bit more focused on art market and how do we value art. And the next book is by Khadija von Zinenburg-Carroll, Art in the Time of Colony. And it was given to me by the author herself. So I'm very much looking forward to read the book by, well, a friend of mine. So this book is meant to put cultural practices of Aboriginal people in conversation with contemporary critical theory. So I think this book is going to be just a little bit more of a heavy read, but because of my interest in art and politics, as well as recent interest in Australian art, I think I'm going to very much enjoy this book during my leisure time. Another book connected to art and politics is a collection of essays called Spheres of Action, Art and Politics. I bought this book a while ago and I read it partially, and it has got essays by authors like Jacques Rancière, Antonio Negri or Boris Groys, and well, they all are concerned about this connection between art and politics and how art relates to politics. So yeah, that's going to be very much up my street, definitely. And the last book on my list is a novel that is based or set in the art world. It's a book by Michel Houellebecq, The Map and the Territory. This author I really enjoy reading, and I'm really very much looking forward to reading a book that he's wrote in the context of the art world. So I don't really know exactly what is it about, but I think in a nutshell it's about a man, an artist who had a bit of a break in his artistic career and now he's returning, but it's meant to be quite funny, and it's meant to be also a bit critical. So that was the last book in my list for 2018 art books reading list. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that this video inspired you to pick some of art books to include in your 2018 art books reading list.